A great evening to you. Warm welcome to Prime Business with me, Pius Kojo Baka. Straight up this evening, government has announced some key revisions to the country's macroeconomic fiscal targets for 2024. Now, presenting the media budget in Parliament, Finance Minister Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam said the overall growth rate of GDP has been revised upwards from 2.8% to 3.1%. We can take a listen to him.
It has become necessary to revise the 2024 macroeconomic framework due to recent domestic and global economic developments, including the impact of the debt restructuring. Mr. Speaker, key revisions to the macro fiscal targets for 2024 include overall real GDP growth rate revised upwards from 2.8% to 3.1%. Non-oil real GDP growth rate is revised upwards from 2.1% to 2.8%. Growth in GDP deflator scaled down from 20.2% to 17.5%. Nominal overall GDP has been revised from 1.050 billion Ghana cedis, that is 1 trillion Ghana cedis, to 1.020 billion Ghana cedis. Non-oil GDP has been revised from 979 billion Ghana cedis to 977 billion Ghana cedis. End-period head inflation remains unchanged at 15%. Primary balance on commitment basis is maintained at a surplus of 0.5%. And gross international reserves, including oil funds and incumbent or pledged assets, to cover no less than 3 months of imports. Mr. Speaker, accounting for these developments, the revision of the 2024 fiscal framework indicates that the primary balance on commitment basis remains unchanged at the targeted surplus of 0.5% of GDP.
And we want to make sense out of these revisions the government has made so far. And joining us via Zoom to have some great interaction is economist Professor Patrick Esuming for some great analysis on that. Thanks so much, Professor Esuming, for agreeing to speak to us on Prime Business. And first off, I want to pick your reaction to the development we are learning. Government has revised some of its macroeconomic targets, and of course, a real GDP growth rate from 2.8% to 3.1%. Your quick thoughts?
Good evening and good evening to viewers. So I think in terms of the revision of the growth target, it was quite expected. You notice that the first quarter GDP down number that came suggested that the economy grew a little stronger than expected. And as you have seen, the bank and the fund have all made revisions to their growth target. So overall, that was largely expected. I think the other revisions, the fiscal targets were not revised because when you check, you notice that the revenue is below the target. However, the expenditure is being forced to also be consistent with the revenue target. That's because the interest payment, the savings from the interest payment is what is helping the government to make that adjustment. So the government was forced to cut expenditure because it's not going to meet the revenue target. The first half of the year, we haven't met the revenue target.
And realistically, how feasible is that? Looking at government's position when it comes to inflation, well, it has maintained the inflation target for the year.
I think that towards the end of last year, we saw a strong disinflation. That has stalled. That disinflation has stalled because we've seen that, starting the year around 23%, we've still been hovering, going 1 month up, 1 month down, and so on and so forth. So the disinflation has stalled. So there's no room for us to think that the government, will be able to, achieve a low. What policy can do to shift the inflation rate has changed. So
Rather unfortunate, Professor Sumi's internet is having some challenges. We shall rectify that and bring him on stream to speak to us on the subject matter. Let's shift focus away from that to some other stories. The Ghana Association of Savings and Loans Companies has indicated that some of its members with significant investment in cocoa bills that were not honored on maturity dates are struggling to meet operational costs. More in this report.
According to the association, its net assets increased to 478,648 Ghana cedi for the year under review, compared to net assets of 476,685 Ghana cedis in 2022. Executive Secretary of the association, Chinebo Akodia, said some companies' investments with GCB capital that have matured but are not being honored.
We realized that a few of our members had excess liquidity, and then they also, as part of our business, required business processes, which is a permissible business, invested in these papers, as in the cocoa bills. But since the DDP came in, they were not getting the money on time. We believe that the program that has been approved and adopted by the state, they will comply with it and move in line with the plan. But the good news is that these institutions who had investment in the cocoa bills are very solid. They have very strong balance sheets, and liquidity is not a problem, even though it affects their profitability. But in terms of liquidity, our institutions have been very solid.
On that spot, Head of Banking Supervision Department at the Bank of Ghana, Osei Ijesi, urged the companies to reassess their business strategies.
The continuous leveraging of information technology, third-party innovations, commercial awareness of the business environment, and customer requirements has supported the transformation process. The quest for convenience and speed in financial transactions by the growing and vibrant middle class has pushed the boundaries, warranting a rethink of banking business models. This notwithstanding, Mr. Chairman, a large segment of the population remains financially excluded. For instance, the 2021 Global Findex Survey of the World Bank estimates the average rate of account ownership, which is a measure of financial inclusion in Ghana as of 2021, was at 68%.
More on cocoa. The Ghana Cocoa Board is calling on farmers to adopt the recovery initiatives implemented to keep the cocoa sector thriving. Now, speaking at the sidelines of the 5th Annual General Meeting of Asetenapa Cooperative Cocoa Farming and Marketing Society Union, District Extension Coordinator of Cocoa Board, Peter Nijan Antonio, said most of the interventions by the board are free, hence farmers need to take advantage of it. More in this report.
Asetenapa Cooperative Cocoa Farming and Marketing Society held its 5th annual general meeting in Suhum, a cocoa district in the eastern region, urging members to remain committed to overcoming the challenges they face in achieving their goals. According to District Extension Coordinator of Cocoa Board, Peter Nijan Antonio, taking advantage of government initiatives will help cocoa farmers save the dying sector due to galamsey.
As Cocoa Board is in the season of pollination, we will encourage the farmers to adopt the pollination to increase the use of pods so that they can benefit more from their various farms. With the little acres they have, they will be able to harvest more pods and then be able to enjoy much premium from the association. And I will also encourage them to expand their farms. We give free cocoa hybrid seedlings to the farmers each year, and we expect they will tap into it and then be beneficiaries of all Cocoa Board's interventions we are giving to the farmers.
As part of measures to keep cocoa farmers interested in the sector, the union increased the premium pay to farmers to 150 cedis from 70 cedis, over 100% increase. Here are some farmers expressing the excitement.
At first, we sold our cocoa to some of the shares and we don't get premium. But as they introduce Asetenapa, I'm among of the founders. Our life is changing. As you see the women in the auditorium, their life is changing. They are laughing. They were excited because they are getting a nice premium from 70 to 150 is good.
And my message to, first of all, to my colleague farmers is we should try hard and make use of the opportunity given to us by our partners. Because it takes, when someone gives you an opportunity and you make use of it, he will surely probably come back and do another support for you. And to our partners, I may say, Oliver Twist, we may ask for more.
Tony's Open Chain, one of the major partners of the union, reiterated its commitment to improving the livelihoods of farmers. Amanyame Mujabum is country manager for Tony's Open Chain.
We remain committed to our cooperatives. We actually have made a statement on this, that in spite of the risks that people identify in the industry, we as Tony's Open Chain remain committed to the cooperative partners that we are working with, that we will not reduce the volume we are buying. We will continue to trust that we can source from them and that we can support the interventions that they require to make sure that beans arrive for shipment.
General Manager of Asetnapal Cooperative Cocoa Farming and Marketing Society Union, Isaac Vifa, shared the journey ahead upon finally receiving a certificate to operate as a union.
As we've taken over to become a union, there are a lot of expectations from the various societies. And within the coming year, we expect that most of the things that we used to do whilst we were one society, our various societies will be able to do that, which means we will be doing a lot of capacity building. And also, we also expect that most of the community development projects that we used to do, the societies will be able to also do same for their various societies.
The 5th annual general meeting brought together over 200 cocoa farmers and partners within the cocoa value chain.
Away from cocoa-related stories, the Alliance of African Multilateral Financial Institutions have invested some $62 million fund to address trade and investment gaps on the continent. Now, here is the president of the Africa Export-Import Bank, Professor Benedict Orama.
Every member of the Alliance has equal rights and responsibilities. We just another member of it. However, we will, the only thing I can say, anything that is specifically required of our President Bank to do, and if our President Bank has the capacity to do it, you can be sure that our President Bank will do it. We will make sure we make our own financial contributions. We will invest the time and resources. Anything that we have the comparative advantage to do, and the members ask that we do it, we will not hesitate to do it. And I believe every member will say the same of their institution, because that is, we believe that this is an initiative that benefits not only us as institutions, but the continent as a whole, because we have the same goals. There's no institution here that doesn't have the goal of helping Africa to develop. We are owned by the same people. The only thing is we are different institutions. Owned by the same people, the same goals, different institutions. What makes sense in that? Come together and do things together, because each of us has specific areas they specialize in. So we just come together and make sure we make each and every one of us more effective.
Now, the Secretary General of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, Wamkele Meni, has downplayed criticisms that the African Continental Free Trade Area has yielded minimal impact in terms of trade on the continent. My colleague Blessed Sugan reports.
A handshake heralding a renewed partnership with the media to enhance trade promotion and investment across Africa. The African Continental Free Trade Area says its agenda to create a single African market is equally hinged on showcasing trade opportunities through the media, a reason for which the Secretary General is hosting Constant Nimali, the president of the Africa 24 media platform.
This MOU, for me, is including every single media, every single journalist in Africa. It will be a work on a daily basis, a daily challenge. It's a challenge for us. We need to be with you. We need to be with the FCT. we need to bring it all across the continent. And we are going to be successful. Definitively. We are going to be successful because here, sometimes I like to be pragmatic. We are going to invest to bring here, in this building or in Ghana, training session for journalists across Africa. You have to train them. So, starting in September, we are going to bring journalists across the continent to train them about the challenge of AFCTA, first thing.
Taking his turn to address the press, Secretary General Wamkele Mene downplayed assertions by critics that the African Continental Free Trade Area is having no impact on the continent.
In 2018, they told us, I will tell you a story. President Kagame said in 2018, for the AFCFTA, they are congratulating us because they think that we cannot do it. They are congratulating us because they think that it can't be done. 45 countries signed in March 2018. The following year, the agreement entered into force. They said Africans can't do it. They'll just talk forever. Africans don't have a history of achieving anything. Agreement entered into force. Then they shifted the goalposts. They said Africans will not implement it. And then now here we are. So for me, you don't know how proud I am to be an African today, because we've done it. You don't know how proud I am, because we've done it. So we are trading, goods are moving, we have harmonized rules, we have challenges, infrastructure, the cost of, but we are moving.
My colleague Blaise Soga filed that report. Ending Prime Business with me, Pius Kojo Baka. For more stories, do log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Grateful serving you. Prime Sports is next with Razak Musbao.